Coming to you live from our studio in Atlanta, Georgia, this is the A1 Trading Daily Show. Whether markets are rising or falling, we're here to keep you up to date with the latest market news. Join us as we trade currencies, commodities, and indices live, Monday through Friday.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another live stream and to a new week here in the markets. We are here as always to cover, and this is a pretty busy week. Say hello everyone to James, and James, hello to yourself. How are you, sir?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you doing today, Nick?
I'm good, and speaking of a busy news week, what's on the radar? And if you don't mind, could you zoom in just a little bit here? I think
let's see, is that a little better?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, okay. So today, pretty much nothing going on. You can see here, looking at Monday, we've got no major events happening. Should be a relatively calm day in the market, so to speak. Nothing too crazy, no big spikes because of news events, anything like that. But heading into tomorrow, we have our PMI day for the Euro area, the UK, as well as the US flash service and flash manufacturing PMI coming out for all of these different groups right here, as well as New Zealand monetary policy that is going to come at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So we will get you more coverage on that Wednesday morning. But yeah, New Zealand monetary policy, something else to look out for. Moving into Wednesday, looks like the Bank of England's Governor Andrew Bailey is going to speak, followed by looks like he's speaking again, actually. So he's speaking at 5:30 a.m. Eastern time, and then again at 9 a.m. But the big event of the day on Wednesday is going to be the FOMC meeting minutes, where they give out all of the details that surrounded the last or the previous interest rate decision. So that is definitely going to be a big one to look out for. Maybe the biggest of the week, happening on Wednesday. Thursday, USD, US dollar prelim GDP numbers, as well as unemployment claims, 8:30 in the morning on Thursday. And then on Friday, the US core PCE price index. So a little bit of something happening each day. But again, I think that Wednesday is going to be our big day with that FOMC meetings minutes happening.
Yep, sounds good. And as always, James, thank you for the update there. I think you pointed out to the audience that the big one here, it seems like this week in terms of market volatility, will probably be Wednesday's Fed-related news. Now, pretty much any time the Federal Reserve has something to say about monetary policy, especially in the last year or two, Fed monetary policy has been a massive market mover. So we'll be here with coverage on that, as always, on both channels, whether you're watching on the A1 Trading YouTube channel or my channel. We will be here with the news as well as market coverage and trade ideas. So James, thank you for joining me. And
yeah, I feel like I'm like the weatherman predicting when it's going to rain. Looking at the Forex Factory, saying like, oh, it looks like today's going to be a little bit of volatility, but Monday not so much. It's going to be clear skies in the markets today.
Yeah, and Wednesday you're going to have that massive downpour potential.
Yeah, we got thunderstorms, and it's Hurricane Jerome Powell is sweeping through.
Yes, as always, and a big thank you to James for jumping on with the news for us here.
Thank you.
Today, James, we'll catch you back later.
Yep, see you later.
All right, guys, so taking a look at the charts now, seeing what's moving in the markets. I want to show you some stuff here. In terms of the dollar, what we can see is the dollar is still trading up off of the lows here around 103, getting tagged and holding so far. Multiple bottom here on the dollar. Seems like bulls are not yet laid to rest with this support zone holding. For those of you guys who are watching the dollar here, here's a 4-hour chart view, and you see this is just a clean example of just a really strong upward trend. When you get these big breakouts followed by strong areas of support holding, I mean, this looks to me like it just wants to keep going. Now, of course, we have big news this week, which could either act to add confluence to this upward move, if the Fed has sort of hawkish intentions, if we see or hear any squashing of this rate cut idea that's been the market has been looking at going forward. So, in my opinion, the dollar right now is too strong to sell. I've said this last week, and I continue to be in this camp. I can't really short the dollar here, and I'm not necessarily a buyer here either, because I think that the inflation story, if it shows any signs of cooling inflation continuing, that this could roll over. Now, also last week we had mentions from Jerome Powell in his press conference on Friday. He mentioned and gave heed to or nodded to the idea of banking stresses, right? Credit crunch concerns. So I think that the market is looking at the dollar here and pushing back on this due to the fact that, Jerome Powell didn't sort of come out super ultra hawkish and say, more rate hikes to come. He kind of alluded to the idea that rate hikes could potentially, the market took it as they could be paused here in concern around the banking situation. So yeah, that's something to look out for. Nick, there's a scammer in your Discord. There are many of them. Please report them anytime you see them. There are new ones popping up every single day. Every single day we have someone on staff, multiple people who ban those profiles from them. So if you see one, just make sure to report them. We'll be banning them as soon as we can. So we have a couple people who do that throughout the week. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for letting us know. I know there's just so many of them. It's really frustrating. So the dollar, let's keep talking about the dollar here for a second. Where am I at with it? Well, again, I'm not looking to buy it, and I'm looking to short it if we get a breakout. If we get failure this week, again, we'll watch closely what the news brings us. We have PCE numbers on Friday. We have Fed news on Wednesday. So both of which could cause some volatility for US dollar pairs. Let's take a look at gold here. How's the gold market faring? Well, right now gold continues to look pretty dang bearish. I'm not necessarily shorting, or I'm not shorting gold. However, I am not overly bullish either. I'm looking for a breakout. If we can get breakouts here on the gold market going into this week, I'll be interested in possibly looking at it closer. I'll show you guys a new position I just put on. It's the oil market. I went long oil recently. And I did it in two different ways. I went long US oil, and then I also bought XLE. So let's see, where are we at with this XLE? So this is a trade that I have on XLE, an energy ETF that I am currently involved in. So I've got that trade on. Let's see, where are we at with that? $244. And I also have silver on. So two different than usual trades that I'm in right now. I'm long silver and I'm long oil, both of which were shared with inside of our Discord channel. I'll show you guys what that looks like and part of the reasoning for this. So if I go to Nick's positions here, these are my current position trades. I've got a long on oil, a long on Bitcoin, Euro Swiss long, and silver. All of those I am currently in positions. We'll see if I can how those ones go. And last week we closed out some profits on the dollar yen and the dollar Swiss franc. Both of those turned into some very nice profits there for us. So that's what I'm watching this week. Part of the reason for oil here is take a look at this oil chart here. You've got this. This is a 4-hour chart. You've got this downward structure in the market that has been, really persistent for quite some time, except for the most recent breakout and kind of retest of this area. I liked this. I took a buy, and we'll see if we can capture some upside swing on this oil chart. Part of the reason too, guys, is of course, if we take a look at the smart money tracker, let's take a look at this. The oil market here is still very net long by institutional traders. And if you're not sure what I'm looking at here, if you're newer to the streams, this is the EDGEFINDER. I run a company called A1 Trading, which puts on these live streams and also builds software tools for traders. If you guys are interested in getting access to this data, which allows you to look at what institutional money is buying and selling via the commitment of traders report that we pull in, we focus heavily on non-commercials, which are like hedge funds and large speculators. If you guys would like access to this data, here's how you can get access today for free. We are giving out free access to the EDGEFINDER here with a trial. You can check it out by clicking this link in the chat right now. We're going to drop that link. Send us a direct message. This is going to take you to a link where you can ask for EDGEFINDER access to one of our support reps and get access to our COT data to try it out, to check it out for yourself. You can see where everything is at, whether it's the yen, the Canadian dollar, the S&P, the NASDAQ, silver, dollar. We track it all. We pull it in for data for traders to have access to more data in their trading. This is what we do as a software company. We build tools. So if you guys are interested in getting access, there is your link in the chat right now. Speaking of COT data, gold still stays heavily long. We've got euro at a very high long ratio. You've got the S&P and the yen very short. So kind of interesting to see where that's at. Why do I want dollar to drop? Well, I rode dollar yen mostly on a yen short basis. You can see the yen, one of the more heavily shorted assets. I'm no longer in that trade, so I don't care too much, Trayvon, what happens to the dollar in the short run. I don't have any, specific dollar trades. Of course, dollar strength probably puts a damper on my silver and oil trades, respectively. But I don't actually have any trades directly on the US dollar at this time. So yeah, again, guys, if you want access to this data, last call on this. If you want a trial of the tool, you can check it out for free. Click this link, just ask us about it, and you'll be able to check it out, see for yourself if it would be helpful to you. Here's also a quick look at the retail sentiment, which will show you the opposite end of the spectrum. We have professional traders and what they're doing under the Smart Money Tracker. We have retail traders, which their positioning here can be really interesting to take a look at. I use it as a contrarian indicator. So if we have, dollar Swiss, for example, let's go look at that chart. Dollar Swiss, retail traders now getting very heavily long. They were pretty heavily short for a while, but now with this thing falling out of an upward trend, it seems like retail traders are kind of picking it up on the long side. I wouldn't say necessarily it's in a downtrend, but on the 4-hour chart, it is questionably, testing those lows. I don't necessarily hate this one on the long side either, to be completely honest, but probably not a pair I'm too interested. Regardless, retail traders very much long on this one. Euro USD, same story. Euro, for those of you trading the euro, retail traders are very much on the long side. And if I'm honest, this chart looks really short heavy in my personal opinion. As you get a potential retest here, I think that you might have, is that a 50% retracement or is it closer to 61.8? Let's see. Yeah, 61.8 probably. What we have here is, if we look left, we have resistance in this area around 1.085. I'd be cautious if price pops up into that area. I think sellers may want to get a hold of it. That's my opinion. When looking at the euro going into this week, perhaps some short-term upside for the euro, but I'd be cautious once we reach this level of resistance, as this does look like a pretty strong area for sellers. So I like euro dollar on the short side there. Again, not my favorite trade per se, but probably worth noting. And I think that it is on the watch list as a possible sell. Yeah. So euro dollar, I mean, as much as I don't necessarily want to be long dollar, there are some specific pairs that I don't hate the idea of looking at a little closer, like euro dollar, pound dollar, Aussie dollar. There may be some quick trades that I might be interested in. So yeah. I've been a loyal A1 follower for over a year. Can't I please get access to the paid Discord access? Well, we have many people who support us and we do really appreciate it. But, in terms of this free content that people get to watch on our channel, the way we make this free, the way that works is that there are people who pay for the private access who essentially sponsor what you guys see here. By selling memberships, by selling software, we're able to put out free content like this at such a high quality level so that just the regular person who's getting into trading can watch this for free. So unfortunately, we can't get out free access, but if you are a loyal supporter and you message us in, we can give you a pretty hefty discount. So if you guys are interested in that, again, message us on our live chat at any time, and someone from our team can work out something for you. So yeah, taking a look at the watch list here, part of the reason I went long oil, which is a newer trade in my my swing positioning here, US oil, COT data looks pretty good. Retail sentiment, not the best. Seasonal trends look okay for the month of May. Trend is to the upside. GDP growth. Someone asked about the trend reading and how we calculate this. If you guys ever have questions like that, message in. One of our support reps is fully trained and qualified to answer questions about the EDGEFINDER. If you guys ever are concerned about something or don't understand something, please just message in and someone can work. Ivan, should you join the stream? Yes, you should. You should join the stream. Perhaps we can get Ivan in here pretty soon. And Frank too. Where's Frank at? Where's the crew? We need the trio. The trio to comment on what's going on. So yeah, Euro kind of interesting. Aussie also kind of interesting on the sell side, I would say. You know, kind of fallen out of favor with this upward trend. Let's see, pound USD. Yeah, this pound USD lost a lot of its steam. It was so strong here. Fundamentally, I don't love the idea of shorting the pound. I'll be completely honest. I don't love this trade because, you know, if the UK, if the Bank of England shows any hawkishness, which I think it will, I mean, it has, if it persists in that narrative, I think that the pound breaks out. So I'm not really interested in shorting the pound USD at this time. What does the trend reading refer to? Message in. Like I said, if you have any questions specific about the EDGEFINDER that I'm not answering on the stream, it's because we're trying to keep the show moving. But if you have any questions, please message in and someone from our team can walk you through anything that you have and possibly even give you a trial or anything like that. Again, last call, if you guys want trials, click this link that's being dropped in the chat. You can get access to the EDGEFINDER to try it out for free, and you can work with someone who can answer your questions. If you think that this software would be helpful to you in your trading, we have many, many people 1,000+ people who are already using the software, and we've had an incredible, incredible response from the community. A lot of people have been able to pass prop firms. They've been able to improve their trading and increase their consistency by using software like this to help them find better trading setups. So again, click this link. We'll drop a link in the chat right now if you guys want to check it out or chat with somebody. There it is. EDGEFINDER trial is available right now. We do this in limited baskets. We can only take on so many trials at a certain time. So if you want your trial, message in right now. Check out NAS, still soaring higher. What's up, Jason? Yeah, let's take a look at NASDAQ here this morning. NASDAQ just does not want to be beat here. I've got a trade idea set up. I talked about this on Friday on my Twitter. You know, we'll see if this rejects. I'm not looking to short this thing. This thing is so strong. There's a lot of hype around AI right now, which is driving that NASDAQ higher. And it's not something I want to short. Do I think it might be a little overdone? Sure. I think it might be a little overdone. I think the hype might be a little over the top on, you know, sure, AI has a lot of potential, but it has a long way to go. And I think in the short term, you know, that optimism, it can very easily cross over into overdone. Despite that, I'm still bullish. I still want a piece of the action. I've just got to wait for retests. So I'm looking at NASDAQ. I'm looking at the S&P 500. I'm looking at the indices to see how that goes. I want to talk quickly in terms of NASDAQ. Big money, where are they at? Are they buying NASDAQ? Or are they selling it? Well, big money had a little bit of an interesting week. We saw an increase in long positions at a very slight ratio, but a bigger change in shorts. So it seems that NASDAQ picked up some shorts on a net by net basis. Still, though, institutional money is net long at 57%. To 43% on the COT data that we track. So it's an interesting take. I think the NASDAQ, I'm still long biased on it, but I think, you know, you saw some shorts get picked up despite all this crazy action to the upside. I think that, you know, big players may be looking for a little bit of a sell push here. We'll see what happens there. And again, we'll continue to track that COT data. Real quick, guys, we are going to take a break. We're going to hear from a commercial. And then if you stick around right after, we're going to be back with Ivan and Frank. We got the trio in the building. I can see him in the lobby. It's going to be good. Check it out right after this commercial break.
Attention A1 Trading Show fans. If you're interested in getting free access to the EDGEFINDER or our premium trade alerts, listen up. For a limited time, our show's partnered broker 8cap is giving out free access to our products when you sign up for a new trading account with them. If you already have a broker, you may want to consider switching to 8cap because of their low trading costs, a wide range of trading assets, and their amazing customer support. If you'd like to get access to our software and Discord server for free, click the link being dropped in the chat right now and ask one of our team members for more information. Don't miss your chance for free products and an award-winning broker. Now back to the A1 Trading Show.
All right, what's up, Ivan, Frank? How's it going?
How's it going?
Pretty good.
All right, that's how you know it's a Monday when Ivan just his voice is all messed up from the weekend. Were you partying a little too much this weekend?
I
I'm
wish.
kidding, of course. Yeah. So Nasdaq guys, did you see the Nasdaq this morning? Look at this thing.
Did see
It
the
does not want
NAS.
to quit. It's oh my
No, it
gosh,
looks
it
like
just
it
wants to go
wants
right
to.
back to the highs. It seems like.
I think we're having the same problem with the delay, but I'm gonna try to, time it right. But I was just gonna say it looks like it still wants to complete that move. Um, I don't know if it's sharing on the live stream, but I've got this little channel the past several months just following that. Honestly, they're not really buying. They're actually selling the S&P, but I think they're trying to take tech stocks up to the probably the 14,000 level, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's a crazy. It's a crazy breakout there higher on the Nasdaq. Well, not a breakout, but retesting those highs. It looks like, and 14,000. It's knocking on the door. I mean, it's an impressive run for indices. I think I was mentioning this just before you guys joined us. That I think Nasdaq. I'm not necessarily looking to buy it personally. I think that there's probably some patience is in order for a pullback or something like that. There's a lot of hype. I listened to, I was in the gym this weekend, getting huge. And while I was getting huge, I was listening to, I was listening to CNBC, and they were talking about consistently the AI. Like I could not go, it was like a 30-second window without talking to AI. It just kept going and going. I think it's a real strong point nonetheless. But how high can it go in the short term? We'll have to see. I'm not looking to short, but I am trying to patiently wait for pullbacks. Ivan, what do you think on the indices this morning?
Surprising. I think that's the word. I would actually imagine during or under this current market conditions that they would actually range or go lower before then spiking up when the debt ceiling negotiations would be concluded. The other thing is that was it 7 week in a row that the money supply that they're still kind of under the radar doing QE. So yeah, surprised.
Yeah, and that's been sort of the story with all this banking stuff. Is I've heard that several times. The low key QE, right? They're being very very subliminal about it, and of course the equities market loves that. And it's been interesting. It's like you said with the debt ceiling concerns, and that there was a resurfacing of that concern on Friday, a little bit of a pop on the dollar, and then pop on gold as well. But we'll have to see where that goes. I think it's hard to just looking at this Nasdaq. It's hard to deny how bullish this thing looks. So yeah, indices, like I said, definitely looking for pullbacks. Personally, if I can get something, maybe 13,600. It's conservative. It's a little bit maybe too patient, but I don't want to chase here, and I'm watching it myself. So, Frank, what are you looking at? Are you looking at the indices to trade? Are you looking at gold? Are you looking at currency pairs? What are your
No, I'm
focuses this week?
kind of staying away from indices right now. I Last week I was talking about limited upside, and I still think that it's probably not going to go too much higher for the stock market, at least before we see like a considerable pullback and maybe even like lower lows before it ranges back upward. But in the meantime, I'm looking at yen pairs because I'm very short biased yen. So I've been in this one for a little bit, euro yen, and honestly, it's looking pretty good so far. So if it were to pull back at any point, like back towards the lows of where it bounced several times, and maybe even scale in further. But yeah, basically short yen. Euro's now the strongest pair on Smart Money Tracker, so I like this the most. I'm also in GBP CAD, which is not doing anything for me. I'm hovering a little bit at a loss, but if the past several days been going back and forth, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, mostly in my opinion, I'm just focusing on yen right now. So that's it.
Okay, and I've got something I want to show you while you mentioned that. We talked about it briefly earlier, but just to show on my end on the COT data side, the Japanese yen. Here's your update. We do this almost every Monday. We just take a look at the COT reports together. And for those of you guys, like we said earlier, this tracks the commitment of traders, large speculators, what they are doing in the markets. And the most recent reporting shows that the Japanese yen continues to be very, very much the short favorite. Now they did decrease their short positions. They also decreased their long positions, but I think at the end of the day, where the dust settles is they're still very much 78%. I'm sorry, I'm looking at euro. The euro, they changed their short ratio and they actually changed their long ratio. So that's actually pretty bullish euro. On the yen side, though, they increased their short ratio by 11,000 additional contracts. So they increased shorts. They also increased longs at a slightly less amount, still putting us at 76% short ratio there for the Japanese yen. And to your point about the euro yen specifically, you're taking the strongest buy by institutional traders and you're crossing it against the strongest sell currently by institutional traders, which is that yen. So very interesting to just see where that positioning goes week to week. We try and keep an eye on that as that euro yen just looks increasingly divergent here. Institutional traders betting heavily on the euro and very light long position, even heavy short positions on the Japanese yen. Ivan, I know you were talking a little bit about yen pairs last week. What are you looking at? Are you still looking at euro yen, pound yen at all?
I wish I did. Well, I'm getting more focused on dollar pairs now, but is it my radar? I don't know. Maybe I should go back to sleep and come back tomorrow and wake up when the market is lower and I can buy it back up again. But in my world, it didn't come back down to a significant support that I wanted to use, like 148.50. So I was left. The trade left me.
Fair enough. Yeah, I didn't capture any of these yen moves either. Feeling a little left out on that as well. You mentioned dollar pairs. What are you looking at with the dollar?
Surprisingly, I am looking for reversal on your dollar. Yes, it is currently bearish, as you mentioned earlier, but I just need a pop above 108, 40, 60, like anything that can cross that high. And so that's kind of in preparation for the end of the debt ceiling negotiation. And if this continues lower, fine. But this week's right now looks like a very great small reversal on the 1 hour. So I'm almost ready to pop if euro pops.
I like that because with the, I pulled up my chart earlier with the euro and I've got it pulled up again now. And our charts look very, very similar. We've got that same level marked. And yeah, I mean, I would agree, right? The price action here is pretty bearish overall. However, to your point, if we get, it's fair to, a lot of people love to pay attention to stop losses, right? Where the retail trader stop loss perhaps could be. That's a big focus for a lot of people. Well, to your point there, around that 1.0860, if this level triggers, if it breaks that structure and this downtrend kind of comes to an abrupt end, I would agree. You have a sort of a zone to zone concept here of breaking out at this 1.085 level. If it could get above there, start hitting some stop losses and I guess beating up on the shorts a little bit, could take a run back up to that 1.089. And again, rinse and repeat. Can we break from there? Ivan, tell us a little bit about fundamentally what would give us this scenario. What would we need to see this week? We've got, of course, on Wednesday, we've got the Fed. Friday, we've got core PCE numbers. What would have to happen to paint this picture for us?
Well, one would, of course, be core PCE coming in lower than expected. There can also be some more bearish comments from the Fed. There can also be the debt ceiling. I think there can also be I wasn't not necessarily fundamentally, but a more sentiment change on the dollar. Though we have generally been bearish and we continue to be bearish, overall, because we are generally peaking interest rates either soon or later. So that's just undercurrent. I would argue. So what do I need to see? I just need technicals at this point, because there is a good enough deviation between the euro and the dollar in terms of monetary policy. They're going two different directions at this point, or future. That buy is the one that I can only do.
No, I love that. I love that point about monetary policy divergence. We've talked about this pretty often on the stream. Ivan and I go over this a lot. Is this concept of, like, when you look at two central banks, when we're talking about divergence, what we're talking about is a more hawkish or more dovish central bank. A quick example might be, for example, last week we talked about Japan versus the UK, right? Two very distinctly different central bank monetary policy outlooks. We have the UK and Japan, and what Ivan is talking about is the ECB remains relatively hawkish, where we're seeing some softening from the Fed. Now this week we'll have to get something that confirms that could perhaps be the fundamental catalyst to break out. A lot of retail traders, they don't really look at the fundamentals, and they wonder why charts break support and resistance sometimes. It's the fundamentals that punch through levels, right? If we're just trading purely technicals, then yeah, this level would probably just purely hold. But to Ivan's point, waiting for the fundamentals to prove right or prove out something that could cause breakouts, it's like when you guys see huge news candles. Those are fundamental moves, and they don't care about support and resistance in the very short term. They can break right through a support level if news is a strong enough catalyst. So yeah, Frank, what do you think? Do you have any idea on dollar pairs, whether it's euro or it can be something else, or even gold? Any dollar related ideas that you're looking at?
Yeah, not pair specific, but could I ask you all a question regarding so this debt ceiling crisis, as they call it? How much weight do you guys think that actually carries? Because I remember this like 2 years ago or something, where we came to this debt ceiling where we're at our cap for the amount of credit that this company or this country could come to, and like apparently it was huge news, and like it was causing like major swings in the market, but all they ended up doing was just raising the ceiling again. So I'm not really sure what all the talks and debates entail, but why would coming to our debt ceiling cause this, I guess, chaos? Or it's all over the news, but aren't they just gonna just like raise the ceiling one more time and just, move on, and then we'll run into this problem a couple of years down the line?
Ivan, you could go first.
Give me 2 milliseconds. I just need to find the price action of when the last time it happened. But so the thing here is politically, and if you saw how difficult it was to get everyone or enough people to agree to get it the current speaker, those I don't know if those are the ones, but that's kind of the same scenario. We have a small group that doesn't want to agree to this debt ceiling increase. So as we have seen is that it's in a landlock, or like that's a looked case. So nothing is going to happen other than dollars going to get stronger, because we can't pay bills, because that's going to lose people losing jobs, because the government people have to go home. They will then default on their payments, but nothing else is going to happen, because the state is still going to the state is still going to be there, because they can't go bankrupt, because they still have control over the military and the police. So nothing much is going to happen other than some short-term volatility in the dollar and the stock market. And then whenever they get a deal, which they eventually will do, it will go back to normal again.
So is it a matter of holding out as long as they can until they just come to an agreement at some point?
Have you ever done last-minute schoolwork or reading for an exam the night before?
Yeah, many times. Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Okay. Now it makes perfect sense. Thank you, Ivan.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that, in our country's history, I was reading that it's been 78 times since inception that they have raised the debt ceiling. So to Ivan's point, looking historically, there is kind of a historical playbook. The dollar gets strong off this for a while, and Democrats and Republicans, they push it to the very end. They get dramatic. They, I don't know what else they're doing over there. They're just having a drama party where they walking out of negotiations and things like that, just making things more interesting. Regardless, though, the playbook has always been, and I, it could go some other way, but most likely, I think things blow over, they come to some sort of agreement, and they yet again raise the debt ceiling with hopefully some plans to make changes in the future. Because again, we're at this point, we're operating at a loss consistently in this country, and will it put problems down the line? Of course it will, until you fix the problem. Otherwise, we're just going to be right back at this situation again. Not a political channel, and not really my area of expertise anyways, but I think from a market perspective, dollar up until they drag that thing out, they dramatize it a little bit, but then after that, I think that the dollar story falls apart, especially with cooling inflation, if we see any continuation there. So yeah, I think that there is room for dollar weakness to show its head again as soon as that story kind of blows past us. So I'm not necessarily looking to short the dollar, because again, I think that it can run a little longer than I might expect. But signs of breakouts, signs of development in that area, I'll be looking to try and short retests, I think, on the dollar. So that's where I'm at with it. What do you think, Frank? I mean, I know, of course, 78 times is a lot of times. They've done this many, many times. Are you bullish dollar? Are you bearish dollar? Short term, are you bullish? What do you think?
I don't necessarily have a bias right now. Maybe short term bullish, just because purely based on technicals. Like I like to see a lot of moves complete, and this is one of them. It's broken out of a strong trend line. It's about to approach another one. I think it's just got some room to go. It was so strong last year because of the inflation crisis, and that we were expecting large amounts of rate hikes, and we didn't know exactly how high things would go. And now we're kind of at the tail end, and I know we've talked about this before, but we're at the end of rate hikes. And even if we do one more next month of, like, I don't know how much they would take it, maybe another 25 is what they said, then that's kind of it. I think that's the general expectation, because the Fed is talking about, like, we don't necessarily need to raise rates anymore, but we'll see, we might. And it just sounds like this is the last, this is the tail end of everything. So honestly, this short-term dollar bullishness, I don't think is because of rate hikes or whatever. I think we're kind of past that. We priced that in. But what we talked about earlier, the debt ceiling crisis always seems to cause a lot of uncertainty and just volatility on both sides. And the dollar's been rising as a result of that. But I don't really see any big fundamental reason other than that. In the future, we're probably going to look at similar rates, and then next year we're probably going to see some cuts according to the forecast. So dollars it's hit its strong point, and I think now the market's trying to take over the S&P. So yeah.
Speaking of the dollar potentially rolling over, Ivan mentioned that euro dollar breakout. If that occurs, that could be a strong move to the upside if it was able to get above those technicals. I also like the gold trade. I know I had mentioned it previously. I traded it. I had one successful trade and one losing trade. I traded it up here, trailed out, bought it back in, took a loss here. And I haven't touched it since. The thing that would get me back interested, I think, in gold would be, the dollar sell-off. If it occurs, instead of euro dollar personally, I would be looking at gold. Not that I think there's anything wrong with euro. It's just my preferred of the two. I would be very interested in, gold break and retests at some of these structural levels that we've seen a lot of headway for bulls where sellers have just taken control. If we're able to get some of those key breakouts, I think gold has a lot of room to push to the upside. Part of the thing is also with the debt ceiling situation, right? If they just raise the debt yet again, the debt limit, the thing is, it's going to yet again call into question, how many dollars are they going to print? How much inflation is going to go on, and how long is this going to never end? And many investors, not just in the US, but globally, where, a lot of central banks are holding a lot of US dollars, they may want to swap that out for something like gold, where they can, not necessarily just be victim to a never ending debt ceiling raise. So I think that there's a bullish case somewhere in there for gold. It's just waiting for those technicals to break out for me to look for pullback opportunities. That's something I'll be looking out for going into this
I
week.
agree with you there.
Week.
I do
Yeah.
agree with you on the technical side, but the only thing keeping me hesitant is the smart money, is that they keep, increasing their short positions, and this week was especially, you know, strong to the short side. They erased a lot of longs as well. So is it like a shift from smart money, or are they just are they uncertain? Are they going to come back in? It's kind of tough because it's majority long, but over the weeks they've been decreasing in long sizes.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. So we're looking at the gold commitment of traders specific data, and what we can see here is while they still have a very large long ratio of positions opened, to Frank's point here, you've got a big decrease in longs, so a big closing of long positions, and a sizable increase in short positions on the gold market. So this is partially where I think wait for that technical breakout. Despite the COT data being a little bit delayed, if we see those big technical breakouts, there's a good shot that that's institutional money moving back in. Now, to your point there, Frank, it could not be this week. It could be 3 weeks from now. It could be a month from now, because this technical trend, who knows how long it goes down. That's part of the reason why when I look at this chart, I'm not assuming that it is going to break out. I'm just going to wait, because if it goes down, for another couple of weeks and then breaks out, we might see COT continue to decline and then eventually start to increase again. So that's how I'm watching it personally.
I like the 1940s or 50s level. There's another long-term trend line on this pair since November. So a test down there, maybe it's long-term profit taking. Maybe they're just setting it up for another run as these institutions scale out at these levels. But I don't know. I do like that level though. I think it would be worth at least attempting, because there's a previous supply demand zone. It might be a double bottom again, but also like this long term trend line somewhere. I think 1940s is close enough, but once it hits that, I think it would be at least an attempt.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Ivan, what do you think? Gold, oil, commodities. What do you what's on the radar for you this week?
I'm just trying to find last time they had a debt crisis, and I think it was late 2008. And as far as I know, their last payment was 28th of December, and then they didn't pay they didn't pay the workers or the government employees around 11th of January 2019, and then that's when we saw a rise in dollars. This is the dollar index. So it seems like the market is pricing in, like, as long as they still keep paying their workers, everything is okay, which they're currently doing. So I don't see any reason for dollar to strengthen, other than this death crisis intensifies. And when you talk about economics, just very quickly there, you have to look at if it comes down to war, if it is rise, does it have economic impact? Economic impact comes down to when you don't pay workers. So I think that's going to be the kill switch, or that's going to be the kicker. But then also there's maybe also other things that it's moving the market in this particular time of the year. But still, I was asked to do Euro New Zealand, and that's going to be the quickest Euro New Zealand I've ever done in my entire life, I guess. It's currently bearish, and you can look for. And the only thing I can say is that if it comes back up to resistance, probably continue lower. But my interest in Euro New Zealand, Australian New Zealand, has depleted, and it can do whatever it wants to do. If it wants to steal gold from you, it can do that.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, that some of those charts have been tricky. It's been a lot of the Aussie and NZD pairs have been moving all over the place. We've got Aussie US dollar, which has been, under pressure here recently. Some correlation on this pair to the S&P 500. So catching a little bit of a bid here today. Let's double check on how those indices are doing since we left them. S&P, look at this, jumped up, jumped back down, came back. What's this NASDAQ doing here? Still holding just shy of the highs. For breakout traders, for perhaps day traders or short-term traders, this 13,900 could be an interesting breakout zone if you're interested in that sort of thing. For me, I mentioned this earlier, a bigger pullback would be something that I'd have to get in order to hold on to some sort of swing trade. Ideally, when I'm looking to trade the indices, I'm trying to capture something that I can stay in for several days to even a week or two. Those are my ideal types of trades. So yeah, that's it's an interesting development watching these indices as they test the highs. I think that is going to be a big conversation in markets as they come right back up to those highs, despite the walkout and negotiations last week, which put pressure on the indices as well as the dollar. It'll be interesting to see how things go forward there. Frank, did you have the COT data pulled up? Did you want to point out something?
No, I was just looking at something. I am interested in Kiwi yen because of my yen short bias. But I was just looking at COT to see what they were doing, and nothing promising from smart money. I just like the fact that they're raising their rates, and it's likely going to happen another 50 basis points, I think, at least, before I get ahead of myself. I believe it was another 50. Oh, no, it was 25.
25, okay.
But just going into Wednesday, I think that's kind of promising. Or Tuesday, I mean. Just looking at this move to complete maybe up to the 88s or something, 87.8.
Yeah, the Kiwi pairs will be interesting to watch, especially going into anytime you have rate news. It can be very impactful to the underlying currencies. So we'll have to watch that one, as well as the dollar in play this week with two major announcements, Wednesday and Friday, core PCE, and of course Wednesday's FOMC stuff. So we'll be here, of course, for all of this. We are going to be streaming on the day on Wednesday for the big meeting. So I invite you guys who are tuned into the stream right now, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. And before we end today, I just want to remind you guys, if you guys would like to check out Ivan, he's an esteemed guest on the show, an A1 trading coach and a member within our Discord community, contributing to everything inside there. If you guys would like to check out his YouTube channel, we'll drop a link in the chat right now. Make sure to go subscribe to Ivan if you want more fundamentals and technicals. We bring him on the show because he's full of knowledge on this stuff and contributes a lot. So Ivan, thank you as always for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, Ivan.
Bye.
All right, we've gotten rid of him. It's just me now. I'm just kidding. But I just want to say, guys, thank you for tuning in to today's live stream. We're going to shut it down here and move on for the day. We'll have videos and stuff for you later on. If you guys enjoy our content, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe as always. And before you go, last thing I will say is that we are doing a Bitcoin giveaway this month. And if you have not already joined in, here's how you can do so for free. We're giving away $500. There is no catch to joining. All you have to do is drop your email in a bucket, and we're going to be giving away that raffle. So click this link right here. And if you send us in your email and ask us about the Bitcoin giveaway, the $500 in Bitcoin that we are giving away on June 1st, we're giving it away to one lucky person in the audience. If you guys want to get in on that, make sure to click this link, direct message us that you want to join the giveaway, and we'll add your name to the raffle for a chance to win. Have a great rest of your trading day and trading week, and we'll be back tomorrow with more coverage. See you later.
Thanks again for watching today's show. Our goal at A1 Trading is to continue to share free value to our audience through daily videos and articles, keeping you up to date with the latest market coverage. If you enjoy our content, make sure to subscribe for more. And if you create a new trading account with ACAP, you can get tools like the EDGEFINDER completely for free. Check the link in the description for more information. From all of us at A1 Trading, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.